Welcome to Rock in the Valley's Cyber Speakeasy, your source for music, conversation, and cocktails. The password for today is Zoomin' with Grandma. My name is Mike. I am Not For Coltrane. I'm your host for Rock in the Valley Cyber Speakeasy. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope that you have something warm and delicious and wonderful to enjoy and to imbibe with us here this evening. And speaking of warm and delicious, we also have with us two wonderful folks here to join us. You have up on the top right part of your screen, Ralph Pagano, and on the other side, Mr. Phil Perhamus. Cheers to both of you. Thank you very much for joining me.
Cheers. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Oh, good. It's not so hot that it burns me. Well, let's talk about what we're drinking. Let's get things started. Ralph, what do you got?
My cocktail of choice is a nice cold beer.
There you go. Well, anything special about the beer?
No, not really. It's Labatt Blue. That's my
Okay.
my go-to cheap beer. So
A go-to cheap beer is a good thing to have.
yeah,
Very useful.
Absolutely.
What do you have, Phil?
Well, I just came back from Nashville, and I was fortunate enough to visit the Greenbrier Distillery, and I have some delicious Greenbrier whiskey from Nashville.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Fresh from Nashville.
Fresh. Wait, you don't want whiskey to be fresh, do you?
That's true.
So
Aged but fresh.
aged to perfection in Nashville, and then quickly transported here so you can enjoy it.
It's freshly aged.
Freshly aged, yes.
Yeah.
Well, what I have here is some hot cocoa with a nice thick layer of marshmallow on it, and it's dressed up a little bit. So I've got a little vanilla in there. I've got a nice drizzle of chocolate syrup on top of the marshmallow, a little grated nutmeg, and yeah, it's pretty nice. And it's actually just the right temperature for this cold part of my house. So that's very, very nice. So everyone who is watching right now, whether you're watching this live or watching the replay, please let us know what you're drinking. And cheers to all of you too. Now, as we get into it, let's talk for a minute, because we were starting to talk just a little bit before the show in terms of how the two of you might know each other and are trying to remember. Because both of you, back when it was safe to do open mics in person at Godfrey Daniels, I think that may have been I definitely was the first place I met Phil. That may also have been the first place I met Ralph, although Ralph and I have crossed paths at a bunch of different open mics. So yeah, Godfrey Daniels, of course, has not at the moment, but has a wonderful open mic with a wonderful open mic community. It's so cool that both of you have been part of that. What's your recollection in terms of encountering each other, or what brought you to that open mic in the first place? Ralph, you go first.
The first time I was actually at a Godfrey Daniels open mic night, the guest host was Catherine Rondo, who was a friend of mine, and I had never singer-songwriter primarily in the Philly area. Right, and I had never been to Godfrey Daniels at all, but I saw that she was the open mic night host that night, and I said, well, I'm going to go down there and see what's going on. And actually, I do believe that's the night I met you, because I think I called down there to see if I could get a slot or if I was just coming down to watch. And you answered the phone.
Right, yeah, that sounds about right.
So,
yeah.
I did end up coming down and actually getting a spot towards the end of the night, and I enjoyed my time there, so I started going there pretty frequently.
Yeah, you did.
Back when I was doing a lot of open mic nights, which
sure
haven't been doing lately, but
well,
and even pre-COVID, I wasn't doing a lot of open mic nights. So
well, you've got a lot of stuff going on, which we'll talk about in momentarily. Yeah. And Phil, how about you?
Well, I started going just because I knew that I wanted to hone my playing and get over some stage fright, so I just forced myself to go. And when I first went, it was the wonderful Rachel Marie Schachter was hosting. And
wonderful, yeah.
Yes, she is.
In fact, she's been a guest on this show.
Oh,
yeah.
Very nice.
I have to look that one up.
The Godfrey Daniels community is so warm and welcoming, and there's no better place to practice your craft than that stage. And unlike other open mic nights, Godfrey Daniels, the audience really listens, and they really want to hear what you have to say and sing. So it's a wonderful place to do that. And like Ralph, life caught up a little bit with me, and I just have not had a chance to get out there, but I will get back out there someday.
As soon as that's a thing that we can do. And it's funny too, because at Godfrey's, you're absolutely right. People really do listen. I mean, and there, a lot of open mics, it's going to be at a bar, which is great. And it's great that people are there to visit and converse. For in a lot of cases, a lot of people aren't there primarily for the music. They're there for, to have a night out. It's great. And hey, there's also music. That's great. At Godfrey's, it attracts an audience as well as performers who are really, really into the music, which can be really, really intimidating. In fact, when I was getting back into performing, I found like 2 online listings for open mics, and one of them was Godfrey's, and I came and I'm like, I am not ready. I'm not ready to play here. I'm going to go out and work in the woodshed for a little bit, and then when I'm ready, I'm going to come back, because with the stage lighting, it's very difficult to see the audience, and everyone is hanging on every note and every word, and it can be a little intimidating. So I really respect you, Phil, for being like, you know what? Yes, I'm going to try this out, especially when you came in and you heard the level of the caliber of so many of the folks who just come to the open mic too. What was that like?
Yeah, it was shocking, but again, I mentioned how welcoming and warm Godfrey's is that it doesn't matter what your skill level is, whether you're a beginner or you're a veteran performer, everyone is treated the same way with the same amount of respect, and so that's what makes it a great place to hone your craft.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and little plug then also for Godfrey Daniels. You totally can go to godfreydaniels.org. You totally can buy a membership, because that's those kinds of things that keep money in the coffers at Godfrey Daniels are what's going to allow us to continue to have a venue there when all the COVID stuff is done. So check out godfreydaniels.org, sign up for a membership, and do the cool thing like that. So we've got so many wonderful things to talk about. Let me put it over on, let me see if I can get this right, and if I have it on Ralph. Okay, so that's Ralph and me together on the screen. Hey, hi Ralph. How you holding up, man?
Hey, Mike.
It's been a little while since we've had a chance to talk, and I think it's also worth pointing out that you are all over the place, in a good way. I mean, because you have the website over at Voices of the Valley, where you're promoting lots and lots of people and local musicians here. You do booking for several sort of local community-based things in private venues, as well as some things like just recently. In fact, just last week, Bill McConney was on. He was talking about playing down in the historic Bethlehem area, and I know you were helping to line those up. And you're a performer. You perform solo and as a duo, and you've got all sorts of stuff going on. So thank you for making time for this. Oh, and you have a show here in Rock in the Valley.
Yeah, on Wednesday nights.
On Wednesday nights. Well, first, let's tell us about the show and how that came about, and what the show's reason for being is.
Steve Jones had been talking to me a lot, I guess, recently, and talking about having a show on Rock in the Valley, and it was, at first it was kind of difficult to find a night that was going to work for me, because pretty much like Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah, you're out gigging. You got stuff, and that's one of the things that pays the bills, right? I mean, that's,
for sure.
So you got to prioritize that. Yeah,
it is what pays the bills.
Yeah.
So we finally settled on Wednesday night, where I rarely have anything going on, and if I do, we're going to pre-record a couple shows just in case.
Sure, that makes sense.
If I have a gig on a Sunday night, then we can plug something in, and that'll work. But the other thing that we talked about before I actually came on board with Rock in the Valley was I want the show to be about everybody else.
Sure.
When I bring a musician on as a guest, my focus is on their music, what they're doing, any new releases they have coming up, live performances, whatever. I don't want it to be about me. If you want to see me, tune into Cyber Speakeasy on Thursday. Oh, we're here. Or, if I'm a guest on someone else's show.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and before we get off this, actually, you're welcome to talk as much about the program as you want. It's on Wednesday evening. What's the time on Wednesday evenings?
8:00.
8:00 on Wednesday evenings. Okay.
8:00 on Wednesday evening. Yeah.
And what's it called?
It's called Artist Spotlight with Ralph.
Artist Spotlight with Ralph. Excellent.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Yeah.
Well, and I'm glad that
you were a real creative name, but hey, there it is. So.
it gets the job done. It does exactly what it needs to do. You're putting a spotlight on artists, so you call it the Artist Spotlight. But I'm glad that we are able to put you in the spotlight this evening, because you also, as I mentioned, since you are a singer-songwriter and you're out there performing, you've got stuff, you have a recording project, which, if I understand correctly, is nearing fruition. And you've got an event happening tomorrow, in fact. So tell us about all that.
Okay, well, it was a long time in the making. It's my second album. The album is called Say Something.
Say Something, okay.
Say Something, yeah, and that's the title track to the album. I started recording it in Canton, Ohio at Little C Studios with Nate and Dan Monet of the band Hey Monet. They're one of my favorite independent bands. And
nice.
Dan is probably one of the most incredible lead guitarists I have ever heard. And we played a song together. The first single I released off the album, a song called This Guitar. We played it together at a music festival down in Atlantic City a couple of years ago. And I just loved what he did with it. And I went,
nice.
Hey, would you be interested in recording it with me? And he was like, yeah, sure, which kind of surprised me. I thought, these guys are a little too big for me.
He's got stuff going on. Yeah,
he's got stuff going on. They're a successful touring band, and he doesn't have time to record a song with me. And he just went, yeah, go ahead, let's do it.
That's really cool.
So we did. We recorded 2 songs off the album at Little C Studios in Canton, Ohio, and then I came back home to get to work on the rest of the album at the Holland Studios with Michael Carr. And just a lot of different setbacks during the time frame. Really thought the album was going to be finished and ready to be out by late fall 2019. So I released This Guitar in April of 2019, thinking the rest of the album won't be far behind. And lo and behold, a couple setbacks last year, and then it took some time to get the people together. Chris Cummings and I got I laid down the acoustic guitar tracks, and Chris did the drum tracks, and then COVID set in and everything shut down.
Yeah.
And my brother, who lives in Tampa, Florida, laid down all the bass tracks, so it was bounce everything down to him. He gets in his studio.
Okay.
Him and his band record, gets the bass tracks done, sends everything back here. Then I get the rest of the people involved, and
that's a lot of logistics.
Yeah, the first album was all acoustic. It was real easy. It was just me.
Sure.
So didn't have to worry about other people's schedules and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think there was something I saw on your website, and sort of you're describing this as kind of a new sound, or sort of a bit of a departure. And is that how you've been thinking of the production on this?
Yeah. I think it is a little bit of a departure from that folky. Woe is me. So that Dave Fry used to get on my case and go, "Are you going to play some songs where we slit our wrists or what?" Which is pretty funny. And look, the first album is kind of deep, and I don't know if it was intended that way. It's just kind of the way it came out.
Sure. Well, I'm sure it's also, songwriting is so much of a reflection of just where we are emotionally when we're writing the songs.
Yeah, at the time. And some of the songs go way back, and, some of them were fairly new at the time I recorded it. But this album is more, I think it's a little bit more rock and roll than it is folk. And, with all the other instruments and,
full band
the mix.
Kinda.
The background vocals and everything, it just really brings them to life a little bit more.
Cool.
So
yeah.
One of the songs, the single I released in October, was actually a remix of "Keep the Fire Burning," which was on the first album.
Okay.
In the acoustic version, but I had always intended to redo it for the next album, which is why it was never released on the internet. You could buy a disc and get the song, but you couldn't get it anywhere else. So it helped disc sales a little bit.
There you go.
but it didn't really expose the song as much as you would think.
Sure.
And so that was the next single I released off the album once we had it done. That came out in October. Reasons is the next single, which comes out tomorrow.
Okay.
And then the full album comes out on December 18th.
All right.
Just in time to be a stocking stuffer.
That's right. So. Just a month away and just in time to be a stocking stuffer. That's
exactly. Yeah. So.
Well, and how can people find the single that's coming out tomorrow?
Well, it'll be released on all digital platforms, so you can buy it on iTunes or Amazon or Google Plus or whatever, or you can just stream it on Spotify. You can also pre-order the album on Bandcamp right now, and
I believe I have that link in the description. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you'll get the digital download when the album comes out, but you'll also get a free download of "Keep the Fire Burning" immediately if you pre-order on Bandcamp. So
cool.
And I guess one of the cool things about Bandcamp, but I set the price, but you can pay what you want. So
yeah.
If you think it's worth more, then go ahead. So
you've mentioned
if you think it's worth less, oh well, enjoy the music.
Right, share it so more people can get that, because ultimately that's why we're doing this. Yeah.
Yes.
You've mentioned a couple of songs that I think of this guitar, and I think of "Keep the Fire Burning" as some of your kind of signature tunes. But also you have a bunch of great songs on the album. You have I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the song that you have coming out tomorrow. Reasons is coming out tomorrow. What would you like to play for us now, out of all the songs that you might choose from?
Well, why not play Reasons?
All right,
Since
sounds
it's coming
good.
out tomorrow.
Get people's appetite whetted so it's going to be a full band version you can hear tomorrow, but right now you can hear a live version right here on the Cyber Speakeasy.
Yeah, the acoustic version where it was kind of originally written. So
yeah,
but you're right. There's a lot more to it on the album. So
excellent.
Anyhow, here we go.
Take it away.
Caught me by surprise when you turned and walked away. I guess you have your reasons. You wouldn't talk, you said there's nothing left to say. Yeah, you got your reasons. Reasons why you walked right out the door. Never said goodbye. Reasons you ain't coming back no more. I'm left to wonder why. Yeah, you got your reasons. I guess that I just never saw the signs. Never thought that you'd be leaving. I was a fool when I fell for all the lies you had me believing. Like when you said you'd never turn away, and I'd always be the one. You said you'd love me till your dying day, and now you say we're done. You got your reasons. Well, I may never know what made you change your mind. I just know you're gone. Bye-bye. I'm gonna be just fine. I've got my reasons. Life would be so good. Yeah, I've got my reasons. I wouldn't take you back now, even if I could. Yeah, I've got my reasons. Reasons that I'm finally over you, and I'm glad you're really gone. Reasons that I finally see the truth. I'm better off alone. Yeah, I got my reasons. Girl, you better believe I got my reasons.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. That's excellent.
Of course, there's a little bit more to it, and of course, I cut out the lead guitar solo in the middle.
That does make sense.
Yeah, and the background vocals, so, because there's nobody here to do them, but,
yep.
But that's
cool.
the basic way it was originally written, so.
Uh-huh. So people will be able to get the full band version of that tomorrow. Very cool. And of course, people should follow you on all the socials, those links are in the description as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And
it'll be out on Spotify, I guess, at midnight, huh?
All right. Yeah, coming up just a couple of hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention also, while I have everybody on the screen together, Mark Hanig is in the comments mentioning that he knows both of you since you've performed together in separate venues. So, hi, Mark. Thanks for stopping by.
What's going on, buddy?
And
long time no see.
In fact, the two, we were all starting to talk about this a little bit before the show in terms of, so first off, Ralph, you and Mark play as a duo a decent percentage of the time these days, right? You have some regular gigs or some other gigs. When's the next time you're playing with Mark, if you remember?
Next time I'm playing with Mark is tomorrow night.
All right.
At the Insurrection Distillery up in Lehighton.
All right,
and
cool.
Actually, I have nothing solo lined up. So it's Mark and I for everything that's going on lately. So,
all right.
And then we're playing at a flea market on Sunday morning, and then then we have the Iron Mule and Christmas in the Quarter on December 5th. The Iron Mule on December 13th.
How are the tips, and how's the audience like at a flea market?
At Jake's, it's pretty awesome.
Whoop.
It's pretty awesome. There have been days when Mark and I walk away after 2 hours of playing there, or an hour and a half of playing there, with as much, or if not more, than we do playing a bar.
All right.
So,
that's great. All right. So
yeah, the audience there is really. If it's crowded, if it's busy, then the audience is really, really receptive and very generous, and
that's excellent.
I just think we're a good fit for a place like that.
Sure.
With the classic rock and the softer classic rock kind of stuff. And, and doing a lot of Crosby, Stills and Nash and the Eagles and the Beatles and between Mark and I, we have a pretty large catalog of songs. So, if somebody requests something, whether we've done it together or not, we're gonna play it. So
right. And you probably also have been playing together enough that if one of you, sort of leads the way in terms of the chords and then the other can sort of follow in and fill in some space. Cool.
I kind of make fun of Mark a lot of times where, he'll go, it's in the key of G and there's only 3 chords. And, 8 chords later, it's like, wait a minute.
You didn't tell me about the bridge.
B minor and that.
You didn't tell me about the bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
There have been so many times that I'm like, oh, jeez, do I know the chords for this? And I'll run through the verse and I'll run through the chorus. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Then I get to the bridge and I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
I didn't prepare this part. Good deal.
Yeah. But for the most part, he's really easy to follow along with, and we don't have a hard time following each other at all.
Yeah, good deal.
And most of the stuff, you do by ear anyway, and it's like, sometimes he'll turn so that I can see his guitar, and I'm like, I can hear what you're playing. We're good, we're fine. Tell me what key it's in, and we're fine.
And then you just run from there. And Phil, how do you know Mark? How does the connection work on your end?
Well, I know Mark through the church that we attend, Palm Moravian Church, and we do our contemporary music, contemporary worship service music. I play the bass, and Mark plays. He's one of the 2 guitarists there, and he graces us, every Sunday when we did have worship service with his beautiful fingerstyle guitar and his rich voice. He's got a beautiful tremolo in his voice, and when you talked about him not knowing the number of chords in a key. He just knows every key and every inversion and every diminished chord. He's just amazing with that. So I'm very lucky to play with him as well.
That's very cool. Well, Phil,
there's a lot of times where we pick on each other during, when we're playing out. We'll give each other a hard time, and it's all in fun because he's an absolute pleasure to play with, and he's very talented. So
very cool.
I'm very lucky to have partnered up with him musically, and hopefully we'll just continue to keep things going. Seems to be working. So
people should definitely check out your engagement tomorrow evening up in Lehighton for people who are up in that part of the world. Very cool.
We've actually had people from Easton come up to Lehighton. And,
nice. That's great.
To see us play after seeing us at Weyerbacher the night before. They come up to Lehighton and to see us again, which is really cool. So
very nice. Well, let's talk a little bit with Phil here. In fact, I'm going to put the camera on Ralph for just a moment, and then I'm going to switch it so that everybody can see Phil. And wait, almost. No, not quite working. That's weird. Huh. All right. Strange technical difficulties. Why can't I spotlight Phil? Ah, that's why. There we are. Now we're all set. Hey, Phil. How's it going?
Hello.
I'm good.
I'm glad to hear it. So you and I ran into each other for the first time at Godfrey Daniels, and I didn't know that before. That part of your story was that you had, you were just saying, I want to, work on my chops and just get some more experience in front of an audience. Tell me about your history in terms of playing guitar, being here in the area, or what was it that Godfrey's in particular was the first place you're like, yes, this is where I want to go to work on this?
Yeah, well, Godfrey's has such a reputation. It's a great history in folk music. So I've always known about the venue. I used to get the Sing Out magazine and read that. And, and I've listened to WDIY prior to going to open mic, and so I've always known about this legendary place. So I also chose that place because I didn't know of any other places. I've come to find out that on any given night in the Lehigh Valley, you can go to any open mic. There's so many open mic nights around.
Well, I mean, in non-COVID times, but yes. Yeah, there are a lot of open mics out there, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I in terms of my guitar playing, I used to play what I think every teenager used to play, a lot of classic rock, a lot of modern rock, and I still enjoy that quite a bit. I'm in a quasi band right now with a bunch of other dads my age, and we just play a lot of garage type rock and mostly just drink beer and talk, and every once in a while we might play a song. But we just have a good time. I did go through a phase where I wasn't playing songs per se in terms of vocal songs. I did go through what I call a Windham Hill phase for a number of years, maybe 4 to 6 years, where all I did was play William Ackerman and those types of fingerstyle alternate tuning songs. And then I really liked singing, so I decided to just go back to singing. And I can't remember any of those Windham Hill type songs that I used to play.
Man. I bet it would come back. I bet it would come back if you spent some time on it.
Well, you know what's great about William Ackerman is he always used to put the tunings on his albums,
so
that you could learn it, and so that's
really
the key because they have such unusual tunings.
Yeah.
But I also did play for a bit at Porter's Pub in Easton. They had an open mic night on Wednesday nights, and that's a loud and rowdy crowd.
Yes.
And the open mic nights there extend until maybe 1:30 in the morning. And I think you have been there as well. And that's just too difficult to do when you have to get up at 5 the next morning to work. And I did that for a while, but I just couldn't sustain that. Not at my age.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're not getting any younger. But that is also sort of another thing that I think is interesting in the contrast between you and Ralph. That Ralph has, gone one direction with his music, whereas for you, you've gone a different direction, which is equally valid and also really, really cool. How do you make the time for it? Because you do have a day job. And actually, I think you have a fascinating day job, so we can talk about that too. But you've got kids. You've got, I guess, are they teenagers, preteens? They're probably all teenagers now, right?
They're all teenagers and older, but just a little while before they were preteens, and so yes, I mean between everybody, there's roughly 5 children, let's say, in the picture, pets, a home that we're still working on, a job that's pretty demanding, long hours, and I also split my time with activities with my church, and I'm also active in the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts, and so in terms of finding time, sometimes it's just a matter of saying, okay, before I run to the grocery store, before I forget this song, I'm just going to pick up the guitar and play that song twice through and then run to the grocery store. And it's carving out tiny little pieces here and there. Sometimes on a Saturday morning when I'm the only one awake and all the animals are fed and taken care of, I'll sneak in 3 songs.
This is time.
4 if I'm lucky. But that's about it. And every once in a while I get a good stretch, a good afternoon where there are no kids' sports to be involved in. Nobody needs to be driven anywhere. There are no errands to run. But those are far and few. But it is really a matter of carving out a minute, a few minutes here and there just to not lose the calluses.
Yes. Yeah. So for people who don't know, the calluses is if for forming the chords on the fretboard using whatever your fretting hand is. For if you're right-handed, it's your left hand. And then I guess if you're doing some fingerstyle stuff, you want calluses on the other hand too.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times that I go for, the better part of a week or a couple of weeks when I don't spend nearly as much time, and then I start playing again. It's like, wow, those steel strings.
Yes.
A little painful.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you're, and I think it's cool too that you're, the social aspect of it, both at places like Godfrey Daniels as well as with this band that you formed, which, by the way, does it have a name?
It has a name that it's not an official name, but it's kind of goofy. It's called the Devil Dads. And I particularly am fond of the name because I think it portrays exactly what we are, just a bunch of out-of-touch 50-year-old dads that are trying to be cool. So it's kind of a corny name that kind of goes along with with us.
I wondered if it was like a New Jersey reference.
No.
No, okay.
Just a goofy dad name. Like a dad joke, it's a dad band name.
There you go. It's a dad band name. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm excited to hear you play since obviously we haven't had a chance to be physically in the same space for a long time, but we haven't even been at some of the same open mics for a long time. It was so, as to hear you doing the sound checks, like, oh, yes, that's cool. So I would love to hear anything that you have under your fingers right now before those calluses go away.
All right. Well, I wrote the song. It's called Center Square, and it's sort of a celebration of Easton Center Square. And you may know that the Easton Main Street Initiative has done a tremendous job with revitalizing downtown Easton. It's just become such a magnet for people in this area as well as outside the area. And so there's nothing I love more than on a Saturday morning going down to the farmer's market and sampling a bunch of goods, having a cup of coffee, and visiting the shops in that area. So that feeling.
And the Peace Candle's up now, right? And the Peace Candle's up now, right?
I don't know because I don't leave the house. I guess I would know if I followed it through Facebook, but I don't know.
I believe the Peace Candle has been set up, and I think they're going to be doing some kind of live stream of the lighting over Thanksgiving weekend, which is traditionally what we've been doing these past couple of years, because you can't really have everybody come out for the big in-person event. But so everyone who's out driving around, check out Center Square, check out the Peace Candle there that goes up over top of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument there. And so I cut you off a little bit, Phil. You're saying the song just evokes the feeling of that space.
Yeah, the festive, fun air of the farmer's market per se.
Very cool. All right, let's hear it.
Okay. 3 a.m. and every light in the house is on. Everyone's talking that tonight nothing can go wrong. I can shake this funny swear. With the cloudy hat, I'll hold hands with you. Standing with my hands in your pocket, wrapped up in your golden hair. Ask anyone, but everyone's walking. Stop me with your drop-dead stare. 10,000 flowers around you, spin me in your summer lair. I can't stop this way I'm feeling now. Sitting closely with my hand on your knee because people watching is as fun as it ever was. I can tell that lately you've been watching me. Sunlight washes like a magical antidote. Thinking about the loving words in your morning note. Say no more, darling, you belong to me. Standing with my hands in your pocket, wrapped up in your golden hair. Ask anyone, but everyone's walking. Stop me with your drop-dead stare. 10,000 flowers around you, spin me in your summer lair. I can't stop this way I'm feeling now.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. Yeah, very cool. It
and
does.
Of course, the female character in that song is my fiance Helga.
Well, and that was one of the things I was going to remark on, is that it's cool too that it's not just a picture of the place. It's, you know, it's turned into a narrative about the person, the narrator, the speaker, and, you know, a love interest and how it's woven into that sense of place. So yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. So let me put it over on Ralph also. So let me see if I can do this, and then if I change this over here, and I do that, but then I also have to do that, and then it's back on Ralph, and then the two of us can talk. All right. Yes. Okay. So Ralph is also able to be heard.
Yep.
You are in a different space from Phil. Like we're talking about that, you know, you're out there on a very frequent basis gigging. You've got the webcast. You've got like I mentioned, you're helping to book stuff for other things that are happening, which is, in a way, I'm sure that there's an aspect of like, well, this is great because, you know, I can focus on doing this thing that I love doing. The risk that comes with that is that, well, now you have to put in the time, you have to put in the investment. And I think the thing that happens for a lot of us is that when the music becomes our livelihood, well, then it's not just something we do for fun or to be social. It also is work. It puts a lot of pressure on it. How do you navigate that, and how do you keep it to be, you know, inspiring and fun?
I don't really feel the
or
pressure,
do you?
I guess.
Okay, good.
You know, they say that if you love what you're doing, you don't really have a job. You're not working, and I don't view it as work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes into it, and you know, I hear people say, "Oh, you know, you're getting up and playing, and you're making $75 an hour to play this gig," and well, yeah, that's great, but that doesn't include setup time and travel time and breakdown time and
all the time rehearsal time,
rehearsing.
Yeah.
You know, and
making the connections, getting the books, and getting a book.
Yeah,
in the first
and
place,
if you want to break down how much time that I actually put into that gig, yes. I make 37 cents an hour or something like that. Yeah. But, you know,
it's really difficult to make a living as a musician, even for people who are really extremely talented.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt about that. But I feel like the more I press, the less enjoyable it will become.
Sure.
And,
sure.
You know, we've been fortunate. Mark and I have been fortunate that, you know, I think as a duo, we've kind of taken off, and that has, that's helped us. I think we book more as a duo than either one of us would book as solo artists.
Yeah.
You know, because we just bring something different to the table. And, you know, so that's been it's been a blessing to be as busy as we've been.
Yeah. Well, and as a performer too, I mean, I know this very frequently. If I'm booking a solo show, I'm like, who can I find to come with me? Because you know, even if nobody else in the place is engaged, there's at least one other person there to sort of talk to and engage with and play off of, and that begins to create that sense of community that you want as part of the performance, right?
Yeah, and I think when we play off each other, we kind of bring the audience into the audience starts to engage more.
Absolutely.
And you know, so I mean, yeah, I definitely need to continue to work. There's no doubt about that, and I'm a little concerned about what's going on with you know, the shutdowns and everything, and the spike in the virus, and you know, all the things that are going to create setbacks. But by the same token, just got to make sure that I'm ready to take advantage of the things that come up, and at the same time, you know, not put myself at risk. And that's the big thing at this point is, you know, putting myself at risk with the virus. You know, I don't really want to play indoors at a place right now where people are going to be a foot and a half away from me. Yeah. Because I don't feel that that's safe. But, you know, there's places that we're playing and, you know, you get inside and people are 25, 30 feet away. It's like you feel like you're isolated and away from everybody. Yeah, right. And, you know, and it's safer at that point in time. You know, and who knows what's going to happen over the next couple of months. But, you know, January and February are notoriously slow anyway. True. You know, even before COVID hit last year, I think I had 3 gigs lined up in January. 3. Woo! You know, I do 4 a weekend now, but, you know, 3 in January last year, and 2 of them got snowed out on the only 2 days it snowed, you know, so these things happen. So I played once in January, and I think I played 3 or 4 times in February, and then March,
and then everything shut down.
I was booked solid, and halfway through the month it shut down. So, you know, I probably lost a lot of money the second half of March, and then April and May all got wiped out, and you know, you just I learned too late in life how to budget things and make sure that, you know, I've got myself prepared for when something like that happens. Yeah. And over the past several years, I've been pretty fortunate that I've been not only sticking to my budget, but actually underspending my budget. So, you know, so I'll be okay for a few months. You know, it's not a big deal.
Well, and I think also another thing that's different between you and me, as well as but different between you and Phil, is, you know, if you don't have kids, if you're not trying to support a family, it becomes a little more doable to try to make the economics work.
Right, and my kids are grown and on their own, so you know, and that was one of the things that definitely made it a lot easier to say, you know what, I'm tired of working in corporate America or whatever, a regular job, and I just want to do what I love, and this is what I love. So,
and the other side of it too, though, I mean, and that comes with some risk when we talk about, you know, worrying about being exposed to germs, and it's like there's not a you know, there's not an insurer-funded health plan that's going to, you know, help take care of you, and there's not sick time that you're going to get paid if you're not out doing gigs because
absolutely.
So you got
that too.
Very much so. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
But if this is if we're going into a time of the year that would be a little bit slower with not as many gigs, it's great that, you know, your folks are right now. Let's focus on the streams and the downloads, and you have other merchandise as well that you're looking at or doing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I have the physical CDs as well as you know, being able to get stuff online, and I do have some T-shirts. I don't have a real big merchandise line right now, but, you know, the T-shirts and the CDs are basically it. I thought about doing some other stuff, and, you know, once a year, I usually take a month and a half or so and tour the South.
Right.
You I wasn't able to do that this year. I usually go in October or November.
Right, and you mentioned your brother playing bass, and I know sometimes you'll do gigs with him down in the southern area.
Yeah, I usually stop in 5 or 6 cities on the way down to Florida, and then I get to Florida and spend a week and a half or so, or maybe 2 weeks with my brother. We'll line up a few gigs, maybe even hit an open mic night or two just for the fun of it. And then, I'll line up another 3 or 4 gigs on the way home. It pays for my travel expenses and hotel costs if I have to stay in a hotel. And, and some of the places I have friends or family members that, I can go, hey, I got a gig on such and such a night. Can I spend the night with you?
Right. Which is huge for managing the expenses. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
and possibly bringing some people out to the audience. For
it does.
Gig. Yeah,
it's funny though because one of the places that I absolutely love playing, and I have a following. I don't have any family or anything down there, and is Charleston, South Carolina. But it seems like the reception there is really, really good, and I get pretty good attendance at my shows.
That's great.
Yeah,
if anybody from South Carolina is able to tune into our webcast tonight, that would be great. Hi. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, exactly. And the next time I get a chance to play in Charleston, come see me.
Yeah. So, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I would love to. We have time. I think we have time for both you and Phil to get a second song in. Okay. What would you like to go to next?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about that.
Well, you had a little time.
Yeah. Oh, man. This guitar, I haven't played this guitar in ages.
Okay.
And I used to love it because I felt like it was so easy to play. Uh-huh. And I'm having a tough time playing it tonight for some reason.
It's
probably because I haven't picked it up in like 4 months. So I've played this Ovation for years and years, and I thought I would never, ever, ever play another guitar, and then I took the big leap and got a Martin, and I'm like, what Ovation? Did I have an Ovation? Yeah, I guess I did. So, and it's not as easy to play once I played the Martin so much.
Sure.
This one's a little tougher to play. Surprisingly. So, all right, this song is also off the new album. It hasn't been released as a single and probably won't be, but it is on the album. And the song actually originated, I'll try and make this as short as I can. Song actually originated when I was out in Canton, Ohio. And Dan Monet, the lead guitar player for Hey Monet, is very good friends with Anna Rose. And if you have a chance to check out Anna Rose, check her out. She's amazing, just absolutely amazing. Listen to her music; she will blow your mind. And he was talking to her on the phone one day, and they were talking about my first album because she didn't realize that I had an album out.
Okay.
And she said, I'm going to have to go listen to him. And the next day, she was talking to Dan again, and she's like, oh my God, I listened to his album, and he's my dark horse folk hero. And I said, we should write a song called Dark Horse Folk Hero.
Dark Horse Folk, yeah.
There you go. So here we go.
Excellent.
He was a dark horse folk hero, living his life out on the road. Troubadour with a guitar and a dream. He just couldn't let go. Music was his life. It was the way he lived. Though no one knew his name, he would do just about anything he could to get into the game. The dark horse folk hero, no one gave a prayer. one seemed to notice him. He didn't seem to care. There's a dark horse folk hero, it's what he'd been all along. Hoping that his breaking life would come with his next song. The underdog everyone came to love, the dark horse folk hero. He would drive from town to town by day, just for a chance to play at night. But playing to an empty room was sometimes a way of life. Any other man would have given up hope. Something he could do. He had the strength to carry on, make his dream come true. The dark horse folk hero, no one gave a prayer. No one seemed to notice him, he didn't seem to care. He's a dark horse folk hero, what he'd been all along. Hoping that his breaking life would come with his next song. Dark horse folk hero, a dark horse folk hero. Yeah, he was a dark horse folk hero.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Funny thing about that song on the album, it's really driven.
Okay.
By the piano and the bass guitar.
Okay.
Connie Powell did a great job with the piano on that, and I don't even think you can notice the acoustic guitar in that song. And her background vocals were amazing too. So
nice.
You know, it was an absolute pleasure working with Ani. She's tremendously talented, and you know, she did some great work on the album.
Very
so
cool. Well, one of the things I like about it too is also that it seems like it's a very Nashville style in terms of the songwriting. Like the Nashville style was you start with an idea or a turn of phrase, and you're going to build the whole song around that. And you know,
that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dark Horse Folk Hero. All right. Well, so people should find that on the album when that comes out.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to mention this too. We have a commenter, Bluesman18064, who, speaking of Nashville, says, ask Phil to play the new Hollow Body he picked up in Nashville. Which I believe, Phil, you have right there with you, right?
Yes.
All right, very cool. So let me switch this over. I'm going to put that on Ralph for just a minute, and I'll switch this over so we can see Phil as well. And then I will switch it so that we can... Yeah, there we go. Now we've just got Phil. All right, Phil, show us what you can do with that, with your fancy new guitar.
Sure, and I know you're short of time.
Before I forget, Ralph, congratulations on releasing Reasons tomorrow. I'm going to look for that, and congratulations on the release of your album on December 18th, right, you said?
Yeah, that is correct.
Very good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I wrote this song. It uses the melody from the late Bill Morrissey, but it uses my own words, and this is for my daughter Gretchen. baby when her hair's undone, and I love the way she calls my name. Hey, I love the way she calls my name. Crying, hey, hey, no one's ever called me quite the same. I got a little house on the northern shore. She stays out in the lake until 4:30, and I love the way she comes through that door. Hey, I love the way she comes through that door. Crying, hey, hey, no one's ever walked that way before. Nothing up my sleeve and no bag of tricks. Glad she goes for lyrics and not guitar licks. And I love the way she moves on that floor. Hey, I love the way she moves on that floor. Crying, hey, hey, no one's ever danced that way before.
That was lovely.
Thank you.
That was really, really cool. And I've got to say that I've missed hearing both of you. I have heard Ralph. I think I saw you. We both heard each other at the Blueberry Festival back in the summer. So
Right.
I've been able to hear Ralph a little more recently, and it has been years since I've been able to hear you play, Phil. And I'm so glad you're able to come on the show tonight. So that was really, really cool.
I'm really happy to
also
be
hit
here.
an open mic night at Porter's Pub back in March before COVID set in.
Right? Yeah. I'm just saying the most
February or
recent,
March.
recent
Yeah.
time that I had heard you. It's definitely a shorter span of time than when I had
For
heard
sure.
Phil play. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So very, very cool. Well, and also Helga has stopped by, stood waving hi, and Mark Koenig was complimenting your guitar work, saying nicely done, Phil. So thanks to everyone who's
Thank
been
you.
hanging out with us.
Yes, absolutely.
And
it's been a pleasure to be on.
I've run out of hot cocoa, so that I believe we have reached just about the end of the show. Thanks to everyone
I've
who's
run out of beer, so
I have a little left.
Thanks so much to everyone who's been watching along with us. Thanks so much to Ralph and to Phil. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.
mind if I give one final shout out?
By all means, please do.
Well, I gave a shout out to Chris Cummings and to Ani Powell and the Monet brothers for their work on the album, but Mark Cernice from the Audiophiles, excellent lead guitar player. Really, really pleased with everything he did on the album. And of course, my brother Steve, who plays with the 60 West Band down in Florida.
Okay.
And you can check them out. They just released an album about a month ago. But Steve is probably the best bass player on the planet. And rather than doing the work myself, I wanted my brother to be part of it. So,
Yeah.
and without great talented people around me, there would be no new album. So I just want to make sure that they get their due too. So
It is a communal process, and where we come together, whether it's at an open mic or whether you're working together in a studio and putting all the pieces together, or if you've got a bunch of dads drinking beer and playing garage band music. Very, very cool.
Yeah, that would be me and Mark.
That works too.
The drinking beer part anyway.
Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate you making time.
Thank you.
All right,
Bill, it was an absolute pleasure.
Here.
Yeah, great to listen to you, man. And
thank you.
Great guitar too. I love that. Love
that is really, really cool. That's a great sound, and you play it wonderfully.
Oh, thank you.
Much better than I would. So.
All right, so that about does it for the show this evening. Thanks, like I say, very much to everyone who's been watching us online, leaving those comments. That's awesome. I hope that you have enjoyed the show. By all means, hit that like button, hit that share button, so more people can check out the cool things that Ralph and Phil have been doing. We will not be back next week with another Cyber Speakeasy because it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. The week after that, we will be back with more music, conversation, and cocktails right here from my attic stairwell. So please come on and check that out. And by the way, this coming Tuesday at 12:30 in the afternoon, the other webcast that I do is having a big thing because we've done 52 shows in a row with just me in the stairwell playing Not For Coltrane and the Not For Coltrane Stump the Band game. So check that out on Tuesday at 12:30 in the afternoon. But until then, my name is Mike. I am Not For Coltrane. Thank you very much for joining us for Rockin' the Valley Cyber Speakeasy. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you next time.